Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
Watashi wa Iain desu.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Love Exposure, which came out in 2008 from writer-director Sion Sono. Iain, will you give us the synopsis for Love Exposure?
Okay, I'll try. Do you want the long version or the short version?
Give me the short version.
Okay. Well, the story follows Yu, who has recently fallen in love with a girl called Yoko. Yoko is in fact in love with Yu's female counterpart, Miss Scorpion. At the same time, the leader of the local religious cult, Zero Church, Aya, has also fallen in love with Yu. And we spend 3 hours and 57 minutes waiting to find out if they will actually find love at the end of their quest.
This is my introduction to this director, whose other films I'd heard of but never actually got around to watching.
Okay.
You got films like Suicide Club,
Alright.
Strange Circus,
Right.
Why Don't You Play in Hell,
Oh, yeah, that sounds fun.
and then Love and Peace. You know, he's got quite a body of work, and he's very well celebrated by film fans and people that love his work.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, after this 4-hour film, I love his work. And now we're going to go on and figure out what other films this director's done. A lot of people have said that all the work up until Love Exposure is sort of encompassing all of his work up until that point in one film.
Yeah.
And then would serve as the groundwork for all of the films to come. So I'm like, well, if that's the case, I need to see more from this director, because his bizarre style, his hyper-real sense of characters and dialogue and situations, the way he portrays it in film, it's compelling watching. I just want to see more.
Camera now, get the target on the road. So that target no hui o tsuite, ki o nerau.
行きます。
ダメだ。いい。
Yeah. Now, I like Japanese films. I like the fucked up nature. You know, you go from the black and white fucking samurai classics of back in the day all the way up to the crazy ass motherfucking shit you get with like Ichi the Killer and Tetsuo and films like Akira. And, you know, I love that fucking aspect of cinema, delving into something new, you know. I like a bit of artsy-fartsy movies as well. I'm not completely fucking brain dead. But, Jesus, wept! I mean, somebody comes along and says, Iain, we need you to watch this 4-hour movie. I'm like, who honestly goes to the fucking cinema and sits there for 4 hours? You'd need a colostomy bag to get through it. You know, even if you thought, I need to go...
It's not that bad.
No, stick with me, right? When you're in the cinema and you're watching a film and you've got your drink and your popcorn, you're all having fun. After about 2 hours, you need to go toilet. You can't just pause the film, though. You got to get up and go toilet, and you got to miss a bit, right? So that's why I felt kind of happy that I had the film at home, because halfway through, I had to pause it at certain parts, get up, go, get a drink, digest what I've just seen, come back and go, I'm ready for the next bout, and hit play again. And the first 2 hours of this movie, you know, was weird, a bit awkward in places, but I was prepared for that, you know, and I got through it thinking, oh man, that's really good. I'm quite excited about seeing the last hour and 57 minutes of this film. And then I sat down and I watched the last hour and 57 minutes, and it was starting off all right. You know, the camera work was still really, really good. The script was really, really good. I was into the story. I wanted you to find his love and all the awkward situations that he ended up putting himself into. And then the end of the movie just went of ultra realism right in my face, and I'm like, whoa, where's the surreal nature of the movie gone? It's now basically just real life. If you were going to be real life, why didn't you start the movie like that? it boggles the mind because, like I said, the first hour of this movie is just building up you, played by Takahiro Nishijima. A brilliant actor. I mean, the whole backstory of him as a child, you know, the death of his mother, the effect it has on his father, the effect his father's relationship has on him. You know, you is a really, really good boy. Maybe slightly naive in certain places, but he's never been exposed to sins.
No.
And so when his father decides to become a priest and falls for a woman in the church and feels like he's sinning, he decides to take out his emotions on his son, which forces you to go out and sin. That's really funny. I like those bits. You know, you was just heading to this gang and like, I want to sin because my dad will love it. And I was like, oh, fuck it. This is funny. This is funny.
こいつはよ、なんか知らないけどよ、罪が作りたくて悪になりたいらしいぜ。
そうです
なんでだ。
いろんな罪が必要なんです。
何がしたい？
強盗でもやりたいのか？
殺しか。罪って何ですか？
You know, he's going out of his way to learn the art of Tasato.
見たんだけど。
Now, for those of you who aren't, you know, learn in Japanese and stuff. Look, I wasn't. I had to learn the word through the film. Tasato is the art of upskirt photography. Yeah.
誰の犬これ？カラスっていうのは英語で全然わかんなくて、はい。
So, okay, this film doesn't shy away from hitting those sensitive areas. You know, you get panty shots. You know, a lot of panty shots. You know, you've got all this kind of weirdness going on, but it's funny because of the way you is showing us, is translating it to us with this whole ninja art spinning and the clicking of the cameras underneath the panties, like they will never see me. I'm a ninja. You know, I love that stuff.
It's so ridiculous. And I love the Grandmaster, you know, in his sort of his lair with his minions, sort of training and teaching them. And it's what was it? Something about loneliness?
Yeah, what the fuck was that scene all about? They sat in front of him, he sat on a rocking horse. There's a guy just holding a portrait with a pair of women's legs and panties in front of it. Like I said, it was surreal, but I was prepared for that. I've seen enough Japanese movies to know you're getting into some surreal shit. So be prepared for that kind of stuff. But we keep getting numbers dropped towards us. 365 days to the miracle. 100 odd days to the miracle. 10 minutes to the miracle. And it's all building up to you meeting Yoko for the first time. He's convinced... Oh no, he didn't convince his friends. His friends saw how gentlemanly he was to women with the panties. And they wanted to learn that from him. Because you doesn't get turned on by it.
He doesn't get a hard-on for any of these other girls.
Yeah.
No matter how perverse or awesome the picture is, doesn't do anything for him.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that because I'm like, yeah, it's a bit awkward. If you do get a hard on, then yeah, you are a bit of a pervert.
心から勃起しろから勃起しろから勃起しろから勃起しろから勃起しろ
心の底から勃起。心から勃起しろ。心の底から勃起。
And his friends decide that they're going to learn from him because they feel like he's the master at this kind of stuff. And he teaches them, and they spend their weeks, you know, sat around a table showing each other the picture of the week, and whoever wins becomes the boss, I suppose, for the day. And you makes a bet with his friend that if his friend's picture is better than you's, then you will dress up as a woman and go into the main city and kiss somebody that he likes. Right, you can see where this is going, right? Yeah. You know, you loses, heads into town, and Yoko is about to be kidnapped by a bunch of members of the Zero Church, being led by Aya, who's already met Yu at this point and has fallen for him. And Aya has this mental fucking plan of kidnapping everybody in Yu's life and converting them to this church so that she can be closer to him.
But she uses an excuse that Yu's father is a priest, and so by getting him into the church, he'll bring in all of the Christians into the Zero Church as well.
Right, okay, I'm sorry, what the fuck has that got to do with love?
It has everything to do with family.
Really? We've already spent an hour seeing the hardships Yu has been going through with his father and the way that his father has treated him for a fucking hour. We've seen the shit that Yoko has gone through with her stepdad, you know, the way that he treated her. And we've also seen the flashbacks of Aya and the stuff that she had to go through with her family and the way he used to beat her with his belt, you know, and made her go fucking mentally insane. So insane, in fact, she broke his hard-on while he was passed out and chopped it off with a pair of scissors. What the fuck has that got to do with family?
Everything.
Well, I fucking hope not. I don't have a stroke one day, you know. Like I said, the surreal nature of this movie is something that, you know, as fans of Japanese cinema, you get drawn to. You know, you will never see this kind of stuff in Western cinema. And I kind of really, really, really like that. But I will say right now that this movie is way too fucking long.
Did you know that the original cut was 6 hours?
Yes, and I'm so fucking glad we didn't get the director's cut.
Man, I really want the director's cut. I want more. You know, as I was watching this film, I was kind of, as I knew the end was approaching, I was just like, oh, I'm kind of sad that I would have liked there to have been more content.
More what?
And I can understand why the producers were just like, no, we've got to cut it even more.
Yeah.
And you know, and the director's just like, no, like you can't cut this down. You stop cutting it away because there'll be nothing left.
I will go in defense of the director with that, where it's like, look, he's had an idea and he wants to put it on screen. Like an artist, like any artist, if you turned to a painter and if you looked at the Mona Lisa and went, we don't like the backdrop, cut the backdrop out, you lose something. And so, yeah, I one day might think to myself, you know what, I feel like wasting 6 hours today. I think I'm going to watch the director's cut of Love Exposure. But in the comfort of my own home. With the ability to stop it at any point, get drinks, get food, have a cigarette, take a break, let my mind digest. 6 hours in a cinema? In one film? When have you ever done that? Who has ever done that? And did you survive it? For me, this film starts the moment he meets Yoko and kisses her. I mean, Jesus Christ, the director tells us because the fucking title comes up.
58 minutes into the film.
Now, don't get me wrong. I know we need, you know, character building. We need backstory. We need to understand why this character is here at this point. But I honestly sat at the end of the film and I'm like, I could easily just cut out 2 hours of that film, get rid of all of that bullshit, and shorten it down. Now, before you jump on your keyboard and go, oh, fuck you, Ian, you don't know art, you're so fucking stupid, get the fuck out and get a normal job. I don't understand art like that, you know, but I understand personal preference of people, you know. Like I said, when you're sat at home and you're watching the film, you don't need that much character building. You don't. We understand where Yu is coming from. The flashbacks with his mother. The relationship with his father. I mean, Tetsu, played by Atsuro Watabe, was fucking awesome. You know, I loved Cairo, played by Makiko Watanabe. You know, you don't even know her name until an hour and a half into the fucking movie. She's just called Her. Yu doesn't know her name. She just turns up. But I did like her aspect of character. You know, she was upset. Her life was, you know, she put her life into a fucking pit. And so she latched on to Tetsu and Yu. But she was greedy. She wanted everything. She wanted marriage. She wanted money. You know, and they're looking... And I understand that the Zero Church thing was in the background to emphasize, you know, Karo's kind of hate towards Tetsu and the church.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you see the tonal shift, 1 minute it's funny, the next minute it's fucking dark with the beatings that people will get. Then it's back up again with some of the comedy. Then it's down again with some of the, you know, perverse images you see. Are you supposed to like these things? Are you supposed to hate the fact that they're doing it? Are you supposed to hate the fact that people do like these kind of things? I don't fucking know.
I think it's a sort of thing that you sort of ask yourself these things. You know, it doesn't matter what other people's reactions really are to it. So it's sort of a personal experience watching this film. But at the same time, it's kind of echoing life. You know, it's a hyper realistic look at life.
Yeah.
So all of these relationships, you know, father and mother figures coming from abusive backgrounds, trying to move forward, you know, mixing all that up with a blend of the perverse Japanese sort of ideology when it comes into movie making as well as into its characters.
Yeah.
It, you know, a lot of people go, oh, it's taboo, you know, oh, Japanese, oh, they're a bunch of perverts. And I'm like, well, you know, Pornhub, you know, it's pretty damn successful. And I don't think it's just the Japanese.
No. If you're a fan of cinema, you have to experience this film. And if you're a fan of art, you have to do the same thing to be able to say, I've seen it, and make your own judgment on it. Not everybody's going to like it, and we'll get into that in the fucking, you know, recommendations. But like I said, some of it just seemed just a bit much. You know, like I said, the background to Aya and Yoko. Yoko is very pretty. She is your traditional, you know, attractive female, you know, damsel in distress in this movie kind of character. Where Aya has the, well, I don't want to sound harsh with this, but she has got a bit of a ring look about her. Especially that part in the movie where she's at the house with you and she kind of slides the door open and her face is kind of stood there and she's talking to him, but all I heard was
that's the grudge.
Yeah, ring grudge. You know what I'm getting at. She just has this kind of evil look about her, you know, which works because obviously in the contrast of Yoko, you know, you're kind of like, oh yes, I see why you doesn't like her, you know. Which is harsh because, like I said, she is just looking for love. But she's certainly going about it the very wrong fucking way. You know?
Well, after Yu has kind of impersonated this Miss Scorpion, Yoko's now infatuated with her.
Yeah.
And now that she's come to Yu's school, as in his class, he is trying to approach her, but she wants nothing to do with him. She now wants Miss Scorpion. So he now has to continuously pretend to be Miss Scorpion.
Yeah, well, it's a balance act, isn't it? Because, like I said, Kairo has moved in with Tetsu, and we find out that after she left Tetsu originally, she went and shacked up with this guy who happened to be the stepdad of Yoko, and Yoko kind of latched on as Kairo as her surrogate mother, and the two of them have now left the stepdad and have ended up going back to Tetsu, which now makes technically Yoko and Yu brother and sister.
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, I know it's all about the film, you know, and I know that I'm probably just sounding fucking stupid with this, but some of the situations where Yoko is ringing up Miss Scorpion and talking to her and asking for her advice of how to deal with Yu, and Yu is obviously talking to Yoko. Brilliant fucking sequence. Split screen. Absolutely brilliant. But I'm just like, why don't you just ask her to come to our bedroom door and we can have the big reveal here? Because this is going to get really awkward. Even more awkward to the fact that Aya now joins the school, forces herself into the middle of the relationship between Yoko and Yu. ends up convincing Yoko that she's Miss Scorpion. So now Yoko thinks that she's a lesbian. Well, no, she already knew she was a lesbian because obviously Miss Scorpion's a woman. But now she fully knows that she's a lesbian because she's kind of fallen for Aya. And yeah, you got the situation now where Ayo is stealing the costume to dress up as Miss Scorpion to flirt with Yoko, which is one of my favourite scenes. But at the same time, I'm like, where is this going? At what point are we actually going to have, everything come together? Because like I said, the surreal nature of the movie was going very, very good. And then all of a sudden just fucking completely drops out the bottom of it once they join Zero Charge.
So it kind of reaches a point where everyone is kind of aware that Yu is this pervert who's going around with the Pika Panty photo shoots.
Yeah.
And
a job's a job, really.
Aya decides that she's now going to set him up. And she prints off loads of CDs and takes all the pictures and just fills the classroom.
Yeah.
And so when all the students come in, they see all of this, and it all blows up in Yu's face. He goes running off screaming. There's a massive falling out with the family.
Yeah.
The father just can't believe that, he's sinned or like the way that he has. And
given the fact that his father was forcing him to go out and sin originally.
Well...
he's also thrown himself at Yoko, trying to convince Yoko that he's actually in love with her, pinning her to the floor and forcing her down isn't going to convince her.
No.
And the whole time Aya is just in the background, just kind of egging them all on.
Yeah, she was the one who's orchestrated this whole thing by tapping into their phones and listening to what they were saying and manipulating these people to where they are now.
What?
So that she can now, after this explosion, after this emotional outburst and all these revelations, she can take them all off to Zero Charge. Which she does.
But why?
Because she wants you. And in order to get you to fall in love with her, she needs to remove the other love interests, including the family, so that she can get to him.
But she doesn't even do that. Once she fucking just... she forces him to work for some porno company. Oh, if you carry on taking pictures, we'll show you Yoko. And it leads to a perverse priest confessional sequence where people are just coming up to him and confessing their most perverse sins. I like children. I like eating women's vomit. I've made a bomb and I really want to blow up a load of people. And he's just like, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. And then they're just like, okay, here, you can see Yoko. But, it's like, look, Yoko, look how perverse he's become. He's all dressed up. And I'm like, you fucking made him do this.
Well, yeah, it was exactly. He's still being set up. He's still being forced to be where she wants him to be. So...
Why? This could have been so much easier because you brought in this whole family element. You've made this family element, this big fucking thing, right? Ultimately to the point where Aya is now hiding it from you, and you has to fight his way back to get them. Now, I spent 3 hours of this movie hoping, by all hope, that when Yu decides to storm Zero Church to rescue Yoko and his family, it was going to be like fucking old boy corridor sequence. It was going to be like Itchy the Killer, the fucking blade on the boot. He was going to go in there and fuck shit up. But this movie is very low budget. It's very independently made. You can tell that by some of the fight sequences. Especially that one where Yoko and Yu are fighting all the guys.
Yeah.
It's not exactly fucking Smith Neo in the courtyard, is it?
No.
So when he finally does build up the courage to storm into Zero Church, he stabs like one person. And that was a bit over the top with the blood. I mean, I don't know how people bleed when they bleed out their neck.
They got the guy in who made or did the special effects for Tokyo Gore Police. So,
why?
To do the blood effects.
Why would you go over the top like that?
Well, the whole film's over the top, so...
Not so much the ending. Because he goes in there, he stormed in the room. I mean, I did like some of the surrealistic backgrounds. But when you see all these bodyguards chasing him, he locks the door. And they're stuck behind the door. But it's the way that they slow run up the door, like, ah, and I'm like, oh, okay. And he walks into the room, and he finds Aya, Tetsu, Cairo, and Yoko all enjoying lunch. Why? Why, Aya? Why? I mean, you took away Yoko, but Yoko's actually falling for you. Not you, the other Aya, you. You know? And it's like, it got to this sequence at the end with Zero Church. Like I said, this is where the surrealistic nature, it bombed out before for me, but at this point really cemented it, because, you know, Aya is giving this big monologual piece to him, you know, about how he's, look at the way he's changed, look at what he's become, look at the sins that he's committed and all this kind of stuff. And he's forcing himself on Yoko, and Yoko is fighting back like she has done throughout the movie because she doesn't believe him. And then Yoko's mind breaks and she starts trying to strangle you. And you is partially giving up because he doesn't want to fight her because he's in love with her. And Aya's in the background like screaming and laughing, and the family's all freaking out. And I'm like, well, what the fuck's this building up to? You know what it builds up to? It builds up to Yu's mind breaking and him taking on the persona of Miss Scorpion.
Well, yeah, after everything he's been through, he's just kind of left broken.
Yeah, but he blows up a bomb on the Zero Church floor.
Yeah.
And Yoko is screaming her head off and everybody's freaking out. And Aya realizes at this point that, I don't know, she's going to lose the family, or the church is over, or she's not going to fall in love with you.
It's at this point that she realized that Yu is just not into her. She spent this whole film trying to convince him to fall for her. You know, he's tried to remove Yoko from his life, and he's still not fallen for her. She's tried flashing him her panties, and he's not fallen for her. She realized that he can't get hard on for anyone but Yoko. And so she kind of settles for driving him insane. And so she's like, yes, shatter your mind into 1,000 pieces. Because if I can't have you, then at least if you're broken, nobody can have you. And with that, she kills herself.
What the fuck was that bullshit? Because the ending of the movie that's not even the fucking end of the movie. We still got like fucking 25 minutes to go. So Aya's plan for 3 hours and fucking 37 minutes has gone because Yu gets taken off to a mental ward. You know, Cairo and Tetsu are a survivors weekend retreat and realize that they love each other. That was nice. I kind of liked that at the end, you know, them two reconciling. Yoko ends up going and staying with some family members, some estranged family members, and kind of gets a nice little sister moment.
So normal,
yeah,
compared to everything else in the film.
That's it. It's so normal compared to everything else. And she realizes that yes, she is in love with Yu, even though she was in love with Miss Scorpion, but he is Miss Scorpion. And she goes to visit him, and he doesn't recognize her. So she goes about to save him, much like he had tried to save her previously in the movie when he'd kidnapped her from the Zero Church and took her to a beach and wouldn't leave her side until she came back to him or fell for him. And so now she's doing the same thing for him. And I'm like, right, can we fucking just get this on with now? Because I mean, like, I wikied it. When we got told it was 4 hours, I was like, well, I'm saving myself fucking 3 hours and 50 minutes. I'm just going to wiki it. And I just knew that they were going to get to the end, fall for each other at the end. And she gets dragged off, and he, you know, sees inside a mirror reflected that he's got an erection. And I don't know, the blood.
The biggest erection he's ever had.
The biggest one. Well, yeah, because he'd been fucking holding it for almost 18 years. You know, and he He realizes that he's in love with Yoko, so he escapes from the ward and runs down the street with like 1,000 people chasing him. Gets to the police car that she's being dragged away in, smashes his hand through the window. They embrace their hands, and that's it.
The end literally comes up on screen. I cheered. I did. I cheered at the end because I had no idea how it was going to wrap up at the end, whether it was just going to be a, bleak, dark ending. But the fact that the two of them actually got together, I was like, oh, so it is actually a love story at the end of the day.
That's the brief. That's the brief we just gave that film. Seriously, we fucking missed
a lot
of
stuff.
A fucking lot of stuff.
There was a school massacre at some point where there's student bodies everywhere.
Oh yeah,
blood sprayed everywhere.
Yeah, and Yoko uses her fucking magical telekinetic powers to put herself in that room. Like I said, with this film, I would have dropped the whole Zero Church bullshit. That was kind of not needed. I might have even dropped Tetsu and Cairo out of it, really, and just kept the story focused on Yoko, Yu, and Aya. The love story between them. Aya could have stayed as fucked up as she is. Yoko could have hated men just as much as she does in this movie, and Yu could be as naive towards women as he is as well. But the fact of the matter is, some of it was just too much. There's this amazing sequence on the beach where Yu has kidnapped Yoko and is taking her to the beach to try and pull her out of this brainwashingness. And they're there for like 2 days. And he doesn't leave her side. And he won't eat or drink until she eats and drinks. And he won't sleep until she sleeps. It comes to some awkward situations where you can see her pants and he's trying to hide his heart on. But, we're not looking into that. We're being professionals now. And she escapes onto the beach and he chases her down and they're screaming at each other and fighting, and the camera work is amazing because I really felt like that I was there with the director. It was like he was holding a handheld. He moved up, the camera's rocking, he gets down to their level, and then you get that amazing Corinthian speech from Yoko. And then all of a sudden the Zero Church people turn up and Yu is starting to get tortured. Why? Why? Don't get me wrong. Like I said, that beach sequence was brilliant. But for me, it kind of was tarnished when Aya is forcing Yoko to hold a knife to cut his dick off because he's a pervert. And I'm like, but you made him that. I know she's insane. And I know she probably doesn't realise that she's insane. And she doesn't understand what's going on. It just, what?
It was just a brilliant distraction. It was so untraditional in its filmmaking that I appreciate. It was refreshing. So, do you have any other favourite scenes from the film, Ian?
Oh man, I fucking rock with with my fucking favourite scenes. I'm gonna break the fourth wall here. This is my notepad. Many like it, but this is mine. Okay, I've gone through many notepads when writing notes for films. Okay, so I made a lot of favourite scenes. My first favourite scene was the "Are you a bad boy?" aggressive tactic by his father at the beginning when he was trying to get Yu to sin, and it was just like, "Are you a bad boy? Yes. Are you a bad boy? Yes. Are you a bad?" It was just really weird. Everything that Yu's father was trying to convince him to be, because his father hated himself for falling for that woman, and the whole sinning against God. He was taking his aggression out on his son. And I felt like Yu didn't deserve it, but I knew we were only like 20 minutes into the fucking film that Yu had a long way to go. Yu meeting up with his gang, Tag Yuji, Takahiro and Senpai. They were awesome. I love that gang. They were there for Yu all the way through the film. They saw him at his worst points and brought him back up, and they saw him in the most fucked up situations and tried to help him because nobody else would believe Yu. And it was the point where he's in the underground biker gang. And they're like, "What do you want to do?" And he's like, "I want to sin." Why? Because my father will love it. And they were rolling with laughter. They loved him. And then he would go to his dad and confess his sins because his dad wanted to forgive him. And he's just running out happy, like, see you tomorrow, Dad, bye. This is actual quotations from this, okay? Favourite scene 3, when he went to go meet the master. What the fuck is the room that they're in? What the fuck is that picture that guy's holding with the panties? Why is that guy on a fucking rocking horse? What the fuck's with the remote control car with a camera on it? Why do they have to do the ninja shit going round? Is it really kung fu they're learning? You know, it was surreal. You know, the confidence boosting that taking pictures of women's panties will give this guy. The radio control car driving down the tunnel of vagina. Amazing. The hard-on sequence where Aya breaks it off on her dad. You know, it was fucking harsh. But at that point, I really wanted her to do it to him. You know, he had been a bit of a bastard and pushed her over the edge. And I know she was crazy. But the actress really, really worked that character well. You know, and then her lying to the police. You know, it may have been the first time she'd ever done it, but it would not be the last. And it looked like it really fucking hurt.
It was the sound effects, definitely the sound
the blood
effects.
like, psh, and the way she just sat there like, ah. Cairo and Yoko's dinner conversation. Yoko asking Cairo, mispronunciation, I'm sorry. Yoko asking her, about being a lesbian, because Yoko is obviously trying to come to terms with her feelings towards Miss Scorpion, even though technically we already know Miss Scorpion's a guy. Yoko doesn't know that. But it was just really nice, just the two of them.
Yeah.
Like I said, the director has a really good aspect with camera working in this film, and I just felt comfortable sat there. It was like mother and daughter, and yet you knew that they weren't mother and daughter.
Yeah.
The hugging in the park, when Yoko hugs Miss Scorpion from behind, and Yu has to hide his heart on from her. It was just really funny, and the restaurant scene after that, where he sees Yoko come in, and he realizes she's related to Cairo, and then they both kind of awkwardly go off and ring each other, and then on top of that, favourite scene 8 was the phone conversation. The split screenness of you pretending to be Miss Scorpion and being in love with Yoko while Yoko's back in love with him, and yet he's actually just wanted to find out. It was brilliant. You got to get to that part. Aya and Coco join the class and sit next to you, and then the whole gang attack. That was surreal. But Yoko believing that Aya is Miss Scorpion and falling in love with her, it builds up. You're just like, what the fuck? And you is sat there watching them kind of, what's Aya doing? She's like licking her fingers and being all seductive, and you is desperately trying to hide his erection and has to just stand up in the middle of class and just start reading from a book. Aya making copies of Yu's photos and distributing them among the class. It was a brilliant setup and fucking harsh, and also led to the fight sequence at home with his dad.
Yeah.
It was dramatic. Like you said, you felt the emotion coming from the film. You'd been through a journey with these people, and it felt awkward as fuck. Bukaki-sa won the pervert speech. Yu's pervert speech was brilliant, but I like the guy before him where he's like, I'm just a pervert.
随分と変態らしいな。
はい、変態です。
どれぐらい変態なの？
股間が好きでたまりません。
The Corinthian 13 speech, faith, love and hope, you need these 3 things, and if you don't have these 3 things, you're empty. You need a good balance of them. And it was just brilliant done. The camera just on her face.
Oh yeah.
And you is underneath her, and she's crying, and I'm sat there and I'm watching tears just roll down her face, and I'm thinking it's going to cut in a minute. It's going to cut, and it did not.
It never does.
Never did. Number 12, right? The sequence where Yoko is sat across from Yu, and Yu is sat there with his legs wide open to prove to Aya that he will not get an erection.
Yeah.
and she taps Yoko. Aya taps Yoko on the shoulder, and Yoko just kind of slowly brings her skirt up to reveal her panties, and he just does everything in his power not to get a hard on. And Aya coming over and checking it, like, is it there? Is it there? You know, because she kind of wants him to hurt him.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, and this is where I got confused, because I'm like, I thought you were in love with him, but you're wanting to hurt him. And my all-time favourite sequence in this whole movie was the lesbian sequence. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a guy. I would try to like use hard on, but I don't like anybody else's dick except my own. You know, but when a girl was there and she's very attractive and they're making out in a bed, fucking hell yeah. Any favourite scenes?
Damn. Well, let me just consult my consortium of notes, Ian. I really like the sequence where she, in the mindset, puts herself in the position of where the massacre's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
And I loved the sort of metaphor for the fact that people die all the time, and most people are not aware. Yeah. And basically there's all these invisible bullets just flying around the city.
Yes.
And, you know, she sort of stops and lets this bullet pass her by. So then before she proceeds, and it's like, some people just step out, get hit by these bullets and die.
Yes.
And, you know, and no one really has any idea. And it's the fact that she's super aware. I love that sequence. It was great.
Yeah.
I loved the auditions or the interview process for the porn industry, you know, and just the middle pervert just getting super excited at Yu's story. It was just like, oh man, yeah. The pervert party, where he's the prince of perverts, it was very, very strange, and it was just fun to watch.
Yeah.
The sequence on the beach, as you've mentioned, and the sequence at the end in the asylum when Yoko comes in to rescue Yu.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, after everything we've been through, it's a good ending, but damn.
Yeah, damn.
So I easily recommend Love Exposure. I wonder if I would watch it again. Not so soon, you know. Need to give a long break. But I would definitely consider watching the film again. It's gory, it's insane, it's emotional, it has themes of family. It's dark, it's perverse, it's entertaining, and it's got upskirt martial art photography. You don't see that every day.
You don't. I do recommend Love Exposure, which I know a lot of you are probably thinking, "Whoa, fucking Ian, you just ranted like motherfucker." I do recommend Love Exposure to fans of Japanese cinema. You've probably already seen it, so I don't even have to do that. I also recommend it to people who like artsy movies, you know, films that aren't your traditional
challenging film.
Yeah, you know, this film, like a lot of films, is not for everybody. Do not, I fucking repeat this, do not fucking walk into this film on the back of going to see Force Awakens or fucking Marvel or, you know, hey, I've got a Japanese film, let's sit down and watch it, because you won't get it. A lot of filmmakers from around the world have these great ideas and they're brilliant artists and they try these things. Not everybody's gonna like it, not everybody is gonna get it, but it is an experience that you have to put yourself through to get to the end of it, to say, did I enjoy that or not? You know, if you turn it off 15 minutes in and go, oh shit, I don't like it, you don't know. You don't know. Okay? I sat through this movie for 4 hours. I knew what the fuck was happening and what was going to happen, but it still didn't prepare me for what I was going to see. And some of it shocked me, some of it made me laugh, some of it got me emotionally upset, some of it, you know, put me in dark places. But like I said, I was in a place, in my own personal space, that I could pause the movie, go off, digest it, remind myself it's a film, go back and carry on doing what I'm supposed to do. I would not purposely say to somebody, hey, let's go to the cinema. Why? Well, we ain't got nothing to do for 6 hours. Let's go watch Love Exposure. Because you you'll miss something. You need to experience every single scene and everything that the characters and actors are going through for you to make your own call at the end of the movie. And if you, at the end of the movie, you never, ever, ever want to see it again, then fine. But at least you can say that you did. You know? Like I said, artsy-fartsy fans, otherworldly director fans, you know, surreal, fucking crazy comedy fans, you'll love this film. Also, if you like hard-ons and lesbians, you might like it. Personally, I'm not a hard-on fan, but lesbians, yeah.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
心から勃起しろから勃起しろから勃起しろから勃起しろから勃起